This is episode number 62. I almost said 50, but it's 62.
There 62. Are 62.
I don't even believe it. 62 of the Posters in Every Direction podcast. This is entitled Spusta Studio. And we have with us the one and the only, if you're at all in the poster game, the man needs no introduction. Mark Spusta is with us. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time.
Great to talk to you guys. And I'm not in the studio for once. Normally I podcast in the studio, but I'm out in my way backyard, and so it's a little bright. I might be a little...
Getting some vitamin D, in touch with nature. I love it.
That's right. Well, we're really excited because we've obviously been a fan of your work for many, many years. But recent events, Mike and I were recently, we say on tour with Goose, like, you know, we're part of the band or whatever. But we recently saw 5 shows in 3 weeks in 4 states.
It was a little bit of a fall tour.
Fall tour.
From Posters in Every Direction.
Yes. But our first stop on our fall tour was in Chicago.
And this is for Goose, the band.
And we were really excited because, you know, we've talked a little bit about how going to the show, we're always anticipating who's going to be the poster artist, who's it going to be, what's it going to be, what's the theme, all this other stuff. And it was shortly before the show, we were really pretty quiet on the internet of who's the artist for this particular show. And when we saw the image pop up and said that it was Spusta Studio, I mean, thank goodness Mike and I were already in line, but we knew we were going to have to make our way to the merch table ASAP.
I love that Goose has that kind of following that they've built. You know, I've been doing, this is my 3rd poster for them. It does seem to create a nice energy. I've never been in a poster line like that. I do, when I go to shows, I kind of circle poster lines. At Fish shows, I'll always just kind of like meander around. But yeah, you guys are in that energy all the time, that anticipation, the announcing of it. And you guys got a foil. So you were up there in line.
Yeah, well,
we
heard or saw the drop that it was going to be a Spusta, and it was our opportunity. Like you mentioned, you'd done a couple others for Goose. You did one, I think it was about a year and change back in Philadelphia at the Man. That was awesome. These sort of like whimsical little guys on the sort of like S-shaped, and there were some different foil glittery variants. And then there was the awesome sort of like, I call them like the Booze Zen Frog is kind of how I think of it from a few, that was like back in 23, I think that you did.
I think so. Yeah. We did
and
a short of that one too.
For our Dave Matthews Band listeners, which we have a few of those, there was a Spusta that was part of Labor Dave weekend at the Gorge for Dave Matthews Band in 24, I think it was. Yeah. And so that was another one that we admired from afar. We weren't there, but it was like very well received. So it had always been this thing around the house, like one of these days, we're going to have the moment, we're going to be in the place, and we're going to have the ability to snag a Spusta. And yeah, like you said, we managed to get a foil. Which was not easy. When I say that there was a frenzy, imagine piranhas like in a tank with maybe a big steak dropped in it. It was just like collectors descend on the merch booth, and there were requests for foils, for signed versions, the regulars, and I mean I think they sold out in a blink. So it was a little chaotic. I got in there, I got the foil, I got out, rolled it up just as it started to rain.
Ooh.
I mean, it just started some raindrops from the sky, but you know, it was meant to be.
Yes,
we felt very fortunate to be there for it. And Mark, what an incredible piece. It's just
I think you could mist that foil with a mister, and I don't think anything would happen. That's not paper.
It is so shiny.
It's metal. I can't even tear that stuff. It's just, But I shouldn't say that. It would probably get wrecked if you. I don't do that at home, but I think it's pretty tough.
Kids, don't try this at home. What was
I love
really
hearing
cool
about that energy. That you know, us artists were just solitarily doing these pieces, and I think now with the gig poster scene, wow, we really get to create an actual communal energy out of art, and I just think that's such a unique thing. I think, you know, back in the day, you do an amazing painting and you are affecting people when they come look at that painting. And probably when people debuted paintings, they were, you know, a bit of a big deal, but just kind of mooching off that band energy. And you guys are like pumped to go to the show, and there's like a lot of energy, and then the art comes out first, and it, you know, and it just kind of lifts you guys into that evening of having a great time. And you know, it's awesome. You guys are so into it and committing way before you saw the show, knowing you want the poster, not like that was a good show, I need the poster, which is the emails us artists get, right? Like, oh,
Sure. Oh, I missed it. I
I
didn't get
should
there
have.
in time.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, we should
So
mention too, you had an AP drop of this, and you do something a little bit unique. There are a few artists out there that do it, but it's called the EQL lottery. And I think you had some different variants. There was, I think, sort of the standard show
Like a
edition,
green
the
one.
greenback. Then there was what I call like the sort of pumpkin spice latte version. It was like an orange back. It was very autumn, Halloween like.
Autumnal.
And then there was this sort of like black satin back one. So talk to us a little bit about those variants and sort of that EQL process so that collectors know what to be on the lookout in future drops.
yeah, those are two good things to talk about. With the variants in general, I've been doing variants ever since I started screen printing in college. Screen printing just gives you the chance to play with different papers and what happens. And so a lot of times for my artist variants, or the artist edition, I try to get a little wacky. I want to do something that the band, that I wouldn't really say, let's sell 500 of this version. You know, a lot of times I try black paper. I don't always, black paper's not always super solid. Sometimes I throw away a lot of things on black paper.
Oh, wow.
Registration becomes an issue. They're really saturated with inks, black and dark blue. And we live in the Bay Area here, and there's always moisture in the air. So it can actually affect the way the paper gives and pulls throughout. So some papers are riskier to print on than others. I'd call foil kind of risky. I mean, they get scratched and stuff, but bands always want that. So, you know, even for my orange variant, it's like, it's kind of an orangey looking piece. I'm like, orange on orange. This is a lot of orange, you know. I love doing colored papers, but that doesn't always match people's couch. You know, so there's only 100 of those, you know, or there's only 15 of this really weird green that like looks kind of stunning, but man, that's a bold poster.
Right. You have to kind of
So
commit to that level of green.
it's a big commitment. And I think my first Goose poster, I did my APs on purple. And I think people are really annoyed by that, but it's like, well, you can go out and get the typical blacks or darks or whatever I like to use. But yeah, that gives me a chance to do purple.
Well, some of us design entire rooms around posters when set with the conundrum of where do we put things. The room that we're sitting in actually was formerly our dining room, is now the poster podcast hangout music room. And you know, specifically done so that, you know, we can have a rotating gallery is really what it comes down to. So the new pieces that we come, you know, after we come on tour, we'll bring things in. I love having different papers, like especially for us, like we've had some other pieces by other artists. There was one that was Aaron von Fretter, and I think it was on a black piece of paper as well, and it was had a lot of gold on it. It was very like Casino Royale, but like, I loved like when you finally take your poster out of the tube after your trip and you're like, oh, sometimes you don't even realize it's on a different paper until I get home, which is just another like Christmas morning.
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff doesn't even translate online, some of the papers or some of the inks. In my case, I'm kind of going a more organic route than like a Chuck Sperry or something in the way we print. So I don't really use a lot of sparkle inks. Plus, I'm very transparent. My colors are layering to create other things. So my yellow has all these purposes. It can't necessarily be a gold. It won't quite have the same effect. I do play with it a little bit. So, you know, the places I get to play with it is paper, and then sometimes I'll do ink color changes on my variants. I don't think I've done that for Goose. I will say I am turning that Goose poster into an art print, and on that one I am playing with the ink colors, which I did for my last Goose poster. I turned that into an art print called "Playing in the Portals," and different got to experiment with some different paper, pulling off the type, but also changing the inks on the different variants so that variants were truly unique. I do want to talk about EQL. You gave me the chance to talk about it, and I just want to kind of like not defend it maybe a little bit. It gets called out by a lot of my collectors. Now that may just be people that are annoyed. They've been collecting for a long time. They're kind of dialed into how to purchase. I was just really struggling to sell these limited edition things online and gig posters when I do APs. I'm only getting 100-ish or so. So it's really limited. And then my audience becomes a little more rabid. It pulls in all these people that never collected my work before. And it's not just my collectors. So it's like all these people really eager, and maybe they haven't kind of jumped through my hoops that I have to create. I've tried things like online lotteries. Those started to get just filled with AI, where I'm trying to like find real humans and like, tell me something about the band or this or that. And it was just got exhausting because of all the AI submissions. And then there's just so many ways to create multiple people or accounts. And then there's of course bots, which is computer programs that purchase things as soon as they enter the store. And that got really difficult because I would have to refund like 30-40% of a sale, but I actually couldn't put them back in the store. The second I put them back in the store, they would go to fake names and fake accounts instantly. And I'd pull them back, fake account, fake name, same people who aren't even really people. And I mean, not to discriminate against foreign names, because there are a lot of unique names that I'm not familiar with, but these are just made up letters thrown together, and so it got really difficult. EQL makes it, they kind of have to check your credit card first, which kind of makes you a person and a paying customer. And that I think is that you have to jump through some hoops, and then we select randomly out of all those people that enter. And to me, it makes my life so much less stressful. I think it gets it into a random group of people. It doesn't always seem like my collectors, but I think for each band, there are new people coming in. Again, they're not familiar with my system, so I'm not seeing the same names, but I think, I know 20% end up on eBay. That's always been my story, no matter what. It's kind of like how hard it is on my end and how many customers get screwed over. But you're gonna get screwed over. There's not enough for everyone. You guys go to the show, you get in line, you're the people that know you can get it.
Yeah, you're still fighting chance, right? You give yourself a fighting chance. But I think, and again, as a collector, I've been through EQL, I've been through other artists AP drops where you get cart jacked, as we like to say, by the bots. And so there is no perfect solution. But what I admire, Mark, is the sort of like spirit that you have behind it, which is, hey, I want to be fair about this and get it into the hands of collectors. We know not all collectors are going to succeed in a limited drop, but I mean, for right now, it does seem like EQL is a pretty fair system. I mean, just like anything else, if you miss, of course you're not happy, but if you hit, you feel pretty good about it.
You're like, I won the lottery.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, that's awesome. I liked the touch that you're in the process of turning this into its own standalone art print. Anything you can share there beyond that?
Probably. When's this podcast coming out? We're talking.
This we tend to get out pretty quickly, so probably within the next couple days.
Nice. Let's try to get it out in the next couple days, and then you guys can essentially almost maybe announce this thing, or this will be the announcement of it.
Breaking news.
I will probably be releasing. I'm releasing some with Spoke Art. They're having a show in New York. 15 years of Spoke Art, and I wanted to be a part of that. They're a gallery here in the Bay Area that Ken runs it, and he's pretty instrumental in my art career and actually helps me fulfill all my art. He's got his fingers everywhere in the art world. Anyway, I think I'm going to debut that print at that show. It's a group show in New York City. But Trips is actually this weekend too in San Francisco, so maybe I'll sneak some of them into Trips down. My wife is actually driving home. She has the prints in her car. I haven't seen them yet. I got to sign them and get them out like instantly.
Wow.
Yeah, because I
awesome.
want to bring some new art to these things. So, and I liked this artwork, and I wanted it to reach a little different audience. Some of the gallery people really liked it too. When it came out as a poster, I'm like, all right, maybe this could be shown with some other artwork that is not gig related.
Well, she's stunning, and funny enough, when I first saw her, now the venue for this show for Goose was on Northerly Island.
What a unique place. I did not know about it. I
This
did the research though.
magical,
Yeah.
yeah, this magical, there's a garden that is on Northerly Island that has a sculpture garden in there. And there is a sculpture, and I believe she's named Daphne, for the goddess Daphne. Um, and when I saw her, that was like the first thing that I thought of was like, oh my gosh, this is like Daphne, the goddess, and she's in the garden with her mythical creatures and done in the Spusta style.
Yeah.
That it just for as again, collectors, my preference as a collector, I love a few different things. One, I'm a plant lady, so like anything that's like women, plants, plant people, plant ladies, things of that nature are like, bing, I need that. Right. But two, I love when it, I believe, seemingly ties to the location, the venue. And that was my like initial thought was, I wonder if this is tied to the Daphne sculpture at Northerly Island in the gardens there.
Well, I'm all about plant ladies, first of all. So I'm glad that reaches you. I think that's always a part of my work. I mean, kind of having plants and growth and humans interacting with it. My wife Dawn is a horticulturist. This is our way backyard and a new house we just got, but we're excited to plant and get in the dirt and
Yes.
play like that. So I love your interpretation. I did see that sculpture. I didn't know much about the venue. I know a lot about, my family's kind of from Chicago. I was excited to do a Chicago one, something Midwest based. I thought I'd have some friends that showed up at the show. I don't know if I got any texts, but there was some interesting people at the show that contacted me that I'm excited to talk to. It seemed to grab some people, some new people. I think Goose is grabbing new people.
Yeah.
Especially in the Midwest too. Maybe it took them a little longer to grab on board, but I'm from Wisconsin, and last time I went back, a lot of 47-year-olds talking about Goose. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, they say Goose is a Midwest band. There's like bumper stickers and everything.
Yeah.
But you hit on it, man. I'm one of those 47-year-olds like talking about Goose. I think there's something there's a chord that they are hitting with their music, with the presentation, with the whole thing that it just reminds me of being young and going to concerts again. I mean, I'm still going to concerts. I just typically feel pretty old. But when I go out and I see these guys, it's like, I feel like I'm college age again. Let's drive around. Let's see more shows. And I think they're having that effect on a lot of people.
Yeah.
They certainly are. I don't want to get into their music too much because everyone's, so into it. But they're finding like a nice groove of, I think they're hitting like, they're pulling people in from a lot of genres. And I mean, that's kind of like what Billy Strings is doing too, but it's like, I could see like a lot of different fans of other bands liking Goose, and you guys are like more Dave Matthews type people. Yeah. A lot of people I was talking to were like Widespread people, which is like a dirtier, like raunchier, rootsier rock Americana and Goose feels like more young, refined, a little indie. To me, when I'm doing like these Goose pieces, it's kind of cliche, but it's like vibe is like my word. I'm like not trying to hit like all these lyrics or like think about this one song and make it inspire a piece. I'm kind of like listening to their music, researching the venue, like trying to picture myself at the venue, looking at some details of the venue or what the walk may be to the venue, what your experience is as a fan. Just try to do that online a little bit. Just listen to the music, and I like to look at their art that they've not that I'm using it, but like, Goose is starting to define their visuals, and Pups in Trouble, Brian Bloworth did, their last album cover, and he just packs so much art into it, and it's so awesome. It's just I just commend the band for pushing that much art into everything. But there's some themes he's playing with that I really like. There's just kind of like a natural, mystical, cosmic. I ended up calling this art print "Dazzled," but
Wow.
I feel like it's kind of like that kind of energy, just like people getting pretty uplifted and
Well, I about had a coronary because I like to sit with the art. Like we'll get it, we'll put it up on the wall, and I'll just kind of sit. And Easter eggs for me are always like my favorite thing to look out for. And I mean, this piece is chock full of little Easter eggs and like fun little nuggets. But as I was going through, I'm like, look at this cute little guy. He's so cute. He's on like a little bean. And then I was like, a bean. Oh my gosh, the Chicago bean. Oh my, I'm like screaming. Mike's like, are you okay? I'm having a coronary over here. I was like, look at this cute little guy. He's on a bean. And I just thought that was such a cool nod. And then so I started digging and like, what else is, like you said, what else ties to Chicago, or like what are little things that don't look like what they are?
Yeah.
But they are a nod to that location, or that, you know.
There's one little guy here too with a ball cap on, and it looks like he's got a sock on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a boot. But it was like, is that
a white sock?
Was this like a White Sox over the Cubs kind of thing? Maybe, I don't know.
It's not quite a white sock.
Not quite a white sock, is it?
I don't
No.
want to choose sides or anything.
Right. It's more like a stocking, if like a Christmas stocking.
Or a rainbow sock.
It's a rainbow sock. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. Yeah, the bean thing's funny. I forgot if it was my daughter who just turned 9, Mabel, was like kind of involved in making Chicago references. We were just kind of like talking about the poster we were in the airport. So I was like, had some time with her, and we were just kind of like, I try to, it's like downtime. What a great time to kind of like start to think about a project. So, but there's a hot dog. There's like 2 little fuzzy guys by one of the serpent cat thing's tail. They're kind of riding a hot dog. She really wanted a hot dog in there.
Oh,
and then the bean, I like kind of drew it, and I don't know, somebody was looking at it. It might have been my wife. And she's like, nobody's going to see that that's the bean. But I did work on it more since she said that. I really tried to get the reflection and make it.
It was the first Easter egg I noticed. And then it was, I didn't even notice the hot dog. So that's new for me too. So like, the Chicago dog. I mean, these are really very classic kind of Chicago themes and like iconography that don't look like they are.
Also feel like a little like liquidy, you're like going onto this island, you're kind of around water. Some of it's watery, but some of it's growing like a garden. It's kind of like a merge of those type of worlds.
And lots of
did you guys see the little portal guy? He's from the Goose poster last time, like
from the man
popping out of portals. So he's like popping up in the next Goose.
Right. So this one is connected, right, that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that in and of itself, in your work, Mark, these creatures that you create, I mean, they beg these stories like of themselves. It's like you want to know more about the little portal guy, right, or the cats. It gives me a reminiscence to being a kid and sort of the Dr. Seuss stories that my mom would read me, and it's got this vibe of those just fun, vibrant characters that can exist in their own sort of, the Spusta world, if you will.
Yeah, that's great. I listened to one of your other podcasts, Best of Tour, with Matt Lunig, who's a friend of mine, and we share a lot of like visual sensibilities, and we work together sometimes and talk. And I like his interviews. But he was kind of talking about how, well, one, he grew up on comics and some different things like that. But like the gig poster is a chance to just kind of pack everything into one illustration, and that reigns so true for me. That's like what I love about gig posters. Even though I'm like inspired by comics and cartoons and that kind of stuff, I didn't really read a ton of like comics. There was some I got into and some illustration styles I really got into, but I was kind of more like into like Mad Magazine, but not even like the comic version of Mad Magazine, more like Sergio, I forget what his last name is. He did a lot of like one panel illustrations in there, Spy versus Spy, or even Gary Larson's The Far Side.
Yeah.
Or, kind of like a one visual image that lets your mind go somewhere, whether it's a simple illustration or like what I'm trying to do, pack a lot in, but I'm still influenced by all that kind of. Dr. Seuss is really a great one because I'm probably more influenced by him than like a lot of the stuff my peers would say they're influenced by, like comic books or certain movies or stuff. There's so many movies people are like, "Oh, you got that? I love how you took that from Never Ending Story," and I'm like, I actually haven't seen. I know I'm supposed to have seen that movie. I'm 47 years old, but there's like tons of holes in my consumption of like pop culture. Um, uh, yeah, I like telling a story with like one piece, as packing it all into one and then moving on to the next and coming up with a new set of characters on a totally fresh slate. I love that about gig posters.
Yeah. And I mean, absolutely just nailed it here. So, I mean, I'm sure you hear it all the time, but we just absolutely love this piece. I know from the folks that we were around at the show, it was super well received. I've seen some of the buzz of people, like you mentioned, looking to try to get their piece and all that. Yeah. So I think for our listeners, like, hey, it might not be the band piece from the venue, but here's a chance that Mark's piece. Given us a tip that there's an art piece coming. Yeah. And this has all of those sort of storytelling and character features in it. And I love the fact that you've connected the little portal guy from the last poster. That to me is just like, wow, like these are a sequence or we're in that same universe kind of, playing with those characters and seeing them in a new experience.
I feel lucky to be kind of collaborating with Goose at like this uprise of their band where, we're kind of creating our own iconography for them in some ways. It's not like working with the Dead where, it's fun to work with all the artists I loved, like, Stanley Mouse and Rick Griffin, and taking inspiration from what they've started. They are my influence, they are why I'm the artist I am. That is awesome to play with their lineage. But yeah, Goose feels like kind of a clean slate in some ways for us artists. They're fresh, they're on the rise, they're excited about art. I mean, this is a pretty weird drawing. This is a strange piece of art. So I'm really thankful that like it's well received and I get to make it. And it's like actually a commercial job being this weird. So thanks to Goose and their collectors and their fans for letting us be that weird. And that's like maybe one of the things Pups in Trouble inspired me is like, oh, they hired like one of the funnest, craziest cartoonist guys out there. Like, cool, let's have fun. These guys are ready to get silly.
What was really interesting about Brian's work, it was not just the album, but it was like the whole tour when they launched the Everything Must Go album. And so like they changed the logo on their website to his logo with the bubbly logo of Goose and with the kind of the falling, like he's not really like a Where's Waldo kind of guy, but he was this like Where's Waldo character. Yeah. It just really is interesting how, again, it's sort of not just the poster or the theme to the album, but I think the weirder the better, to be totally honest. Yeah. Like, I love fantasy and I love like these stories that like really fully immerse you. And when I find a poster that feels like a story, like a visual story that I don't have the words for, I don't have background, it's like kind of jumping into the middle of like a really good book series and then kind of having to create the story around it in your mind. And like what I feel about this print is probably different than what Mike feels about the print. It might be different than the other collectors. And that's like the fun kind of like universal storyline that like we're not exactly 100% certain unless you came out, and said, hey, like Mark says that this is so-and-so and these are the characters and this is the land that they're from. That's a little different, but this gives us like a choose your own adventure vibe to be able to say like, what do I think? And who is she? Where'd she come from? What's she doing? Is she mesmerized by this like cool, like dragon, fuzzy dragon guy? Or is it like, and he's pulling the jewel from her? Like, what's happening with the jewel? Is the jewel the thing that's mesmerized? Like, this is where I'm just like spiraling out of control.
Of questions. And it does that. It's wonderful. The piece is wonderful. That's, I mean, really the word that comes to mind. And it was one of those things, this happens to me, believe it or not, infrequently. Like I am pretty much like 9 times out of 10, like the foil guy. Like I love the shiny paper. It's usually a little bit more on the limited run side. So if I have the opportunity to get the foil, if I really want the regular, I can probably circle back someday. But I was at the booth and I really had this moment of like, I might grab the foil and the regular. I might get both. But alas, I was like, I'm going to go with the foil and I'm going to leave that other one for the next collector because I know how people are, particularly about your work, that they really want it. So it's like, just let that be here at the booth for somebody else. And I felt entirely comfortable because I was able, and for anybody watching, I'm able to wear the Spusta on the t-shirt too, because Goose did, I think this was the first tour that I know of them doing it, where their venue specific shirt, they took the actual poster image and put it on the t-shirt. So it was like, hey, I get best of both worlds now, right? I can, the sort of greenback one I can wear and the foil one we can hang on the wall. So,
you know, and that t-shirt's probably a rarer variant than the actual poster.
Yeah.
I mean, people should realize that. Like, if you get these t-shirts, I mean, now vintage t-shirts are worth like a ton. Like they are catching up to kind of that poster world, and they're still amazing artwork, and people wear them, so they get abused to sort of have them nice, and they are rarer than the poster every time. I think the first time I did a Goose poster, that Buddhist frog guy, they did that as a shirt as well. That was many years ago. But I'm always pitching that to bands, like, let's expand this artwork. Let's make some merch. Let me take off a little border. Let me pull it apart a little bit and make it into a shirt graphic. I really love the power of shirt graphics and people wearing shirts and, the hat.
And so this is actually the top of the poster. So the actual, like your Goose logo, so to speak, with the cute little guy with his beanie hat on. I don't know if you can see it. It's really, and they did such a great job with it. And this is the VIP gift that you get if you get a VIP ticket. It's just another wearable layer for us. But that was one of the things we talked about, was like, it's really cool to have the full poster on the shirt, but like, could we also then break it out and be like, okay, just the Goose, or just one of the little like characters that's in here with a little goose on? I mean, there is so much that I think from a merch side, like, well, and we also noticed Trevor, the bassist for Goose, regularly has a t-shirt of yours. It's like one of these little Buddha guys, and he wears it. I mean,
he at least has one or two. I've seen
probably
a couple of styles. It's like every now and then, because he's usually wearing a jacket, but every now and then you kind of catch like, oh, there it is. Yep. It's one of the little Spusta guys.
He wears it perfectly, because that's how I want my shirts to kind of like. I don't do really as for the concert shirts, like the one you're wearing. It's like the full graphic, but the ones I sell on my website, which is like the one thing I would want to pitch on your show. I don't have a ton in stock right now, but I love making shirts. That's what I am always selling. My prints sell out, but so do my shirts. But man, I get excited when people wear shirts to shows, and it's kind of like a little subculture. Like, it's not a band shirt, but this guy works for this band.
That's right.
And then Trevor really wears that guy everywhere. He's wearing him on like CBS in the morning, and he wears them on TV. And I talked to Trevor just online somewhere, because I sent him some shirts with, every time I do a poster, I just send some shirts. But I think I got his size wrong, because he's like excited to wear him, but he didn't wear him. Maybe just really loves his little cupcake birthday guy.
I mean, look, we all have our favorite ones that we wear on the regular like rotation, and I have to will myself on some days to be like, I haven't worn that one in a while, but I'm like, but I really want to wear this shirt. So I would understand the affinity of like having the favorite. But in our house, we probably would buy like multiples of the same shirt, to have the rotation, so they don't become the falling apart vintage, t-shirts that we can't wear, that we have to keep in the back of the drawer because it's like only on special occasions.
I love it. You guys seem to draw the line at hoarding. It's the things you get. There's a reason you get as much as you get. But don't take it too far. Spread the
That's right. That's right. It's a slippery slope, and we try to keep it clean. So that's there are a lot of t-shirts. They may be stacked up, but they are folded, they're washed, and they are worn regularly. So that's the goal.
And also on occasion, we separately will get ready, come downstairs for our day, and we'll be wearing the same shirt. And I'm like, who's changing? Who's changing? This one in particular, we've worn.
It's been a couple times.
It's been a few times since our Chicago trip at the beginning of the month.
I do want to
highlight the ladies' variant color.
Right. I do want to highlight for our listeners, Mark, where can our folks find your t-shirts and your merch when when they're listening to this, now they're going to go check out the website and see if there's anything available in their size.
I got a little windy. My
Oh.
Goose poster flew.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Since you don't have the green one, since we're just on the pod.
There she is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's beautiful.
Yeah, I kind of keep everything pretty close to my website and always have. So it's markspusta.com.
Okay.
And that's
MARQSPUSTA.com. And I have a Spusta Studio is my Facebook and Instagram. And I have my sales on Wednesday. I release new shirts, probably like, I try to release new something, I don't know, 1 or 2 Wednesdays a month. I was a little behind schedule because I moved this summer, but I'm excited to do a bunch of releases kind of leading up to the holidays. Yeah, check in on Wednesday, see if I have new stuff. I send emails if I have enough to sell, and I send emails every time I release an AP of a poster. So a lot of people want to know specifically about when I drop, if it's something they know about. This Goose poster, I'm gonna send an email about that. So get on my email list if there's ever a new release and you want to know when it's coming out. I do announce every poster AP release on as an email. I don't do that for all my store releases because sometimes I don't know. They sell out quick anyway. Sometimes I'm telling 10,000 people about something I have 60 of, and I don't always like doing that. And then people feel like why didn't you tell us we missed out? I'm like, well, you were gonna miss out anyway. I didn't make that many.
So schedule yourself a calendar reminder every Wednesday to check the Spusta store for new t-shirt. When I love the idea of like a t-shirt drop that is a little more, like you said, and great for stocking stuffers.
There's youth sizes for the kiddos. Yeah. There's adult sizes. Though I'll be honest, I'm one of the guys that keeps checking for 2X or 3X, and it's like they seem to sell out super fast. So it's like, oh, I'll get them next time. But
I'm always trying to get the right amount of those.
Yeah.
I always seem to sell out of XL and large no matter how many I get.
Yeah.
And then I always have 5 mediums left. But then if I don't order mediums, I get it wrong. So my store is horribly stocked, and I do apologize. I want to sell that last small of that one shirt. I just don't want to take it down.
Hey, we got to let's try to like make room in the store then, so that we can see some more cool stuff from Mark. So we are just really thrilled because I feel like there's so much more to this conversation. And we're definitely going to have to do a 2.0, have Mark come back because we've got so many more pieces of conversation we can have. I know we just, there was a beautiful drop that you did with Bottleneck Galleries and some really cool figurines. I feel like that could be its own conversation. But since we had the sort of the newness and the excitement around us personally collecting the piece from the Goose show in Chicago, we really wanted to share kind of this conversation with the fans of your work, people who are now being exposed to your work because of the bands. I mean, we've learned so much about artists through the posters and through just being a poster collector, that's how we've kind of gotten into other bands as well. So like, for example, one of the bands that I've gotten into reversed it, like learned about them through posters and then started listening to the music is My Morning Jacket. And they're like one of those bands that like, I'm like down the rabbit hole trying to catch up 25 years of music. But I think there's a lot of people who know your name through the collecting of the posters and the bands that they listen to. So hopefully this will also catch up with a couple of newbies as well, if they, for some reason, have been living under a rock and don't know who you are.
Yeah, My Morning Jacket was one of the first bands I was really excited to work for. That was like 2006. You're right, like 25 years late.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I did a New Year's for them at the Fillmore so early. And one of my first screen prints that really got a nice traction was for them. And they're really great. But I like that your podcast, this one in particular, can really just focus on like the merch game for one show, because that's what I focus on for like a month is the merch game for one show. So like I like that you guys can kind of give it some attention, and it's a unique space and a unique podcast in that way. So
thank
kudos
you.
to you.
We're really grateful for you coming on, taking the time. And anything else that you can share just in the last hot minute that like you want to talk about or share with those who are listening to be able to look out for?
Not necessarily, other than, yeah, I do have some art prints that just arrived in a car, and I'm excited to sell those. The one of them is this dazzled print. I did not make a ton of them.
Okay.
Okay.
So when I print on jobs, this dazzled art print
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
is kind of the bigger one, and then one of the smaller art prints I double up on the job. I do two different colorways, so I actually
Okay.
have like 500 of the little ones, but
Ooh.
not many of the big ones. Kind of the way sometimes I do my editions. So it's also a gig poster. There's 600, 700 out there, so I made it kind of rare. So I was
Awesome.
advertising it, but it might be kind of hard to get.
All right.
Other than that, I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys more about other topics on your other podcasts. We have trips coming up this weekend, the biggest
That's
San
right.
Francisco poster show. It's such an epic event. Jermaine Rogers has a show at Hate Street. We're turning it into like a whole weekend event. And then the past couple of years, Hate Street Art Center has been combining, and now Hate Street Art Center is like right in the epicenter of San Francisco and the action. So if you're coming to town, you go to the night before it, like this Jermaine show. On top of the Jermaine show, they have like the first San Francisco posters, the seed, and some like classic archive stuff, and then you go to trips the next day. Last year, I even had a thing on Hate Street on Sunday, the day after trips,
Mm-hmm.
kind of inviting collectors to like this old house on Haight Ashbury, and we did like kind of a doodle session and a hangout
Oh,
session. Um, but I'm not going to be there this year. I will have a booth, but it's a cool event. You guys should come out in the future.
it's on the
It's really
bucket list.
becoming a thing.
2026 is our
That's our
plan.
year.
That's our
Yeah.
year.
Well, Mike's never been well, second in LA in a layover in the airport. So Mike needs a
Right.
California trip for sure.
There are lots of plans.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening, if you are headed out to San Francisco this weekend for the Rock Poster Society, their big annual event is this weekend. Keep an eye out for Mark's store for the art prints of the beautiful, amazing dazzled. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I decided on. It's always
Yes.
the last thing I do when I make these art prints. I wait.
Well,
It's the black line, and I haven't titled it. My printer's already printed 4 colors. I'm like, all right, what is it called? What is it?
she's dazzled. She dazzles us. And
Yep.
keep an eye out every Wednesday for new drops from Mark's shop. Thank you again, Mark. We were looking forward to having you on again.
Thanks for your enthusiasm for this world, you two. Nice to
Oh,
connect.
Thanks, man.
absolutely.